I said, yeah, that's regular street game. That's what I said, that's what I meant. We had learned all these strategies and tactics. We was already up, it may sound arrogant, but we was already up to the level of the greatest or the most popular studied revolutionary. These are the books that were studied all over the world for revolution, selected works. And it has all those chapters on guerrilla warfare and what have you. But I just changed it to psychological guerrilla warfare. Now, what we want to do is help the people learn and understand about what contribution you can make to changing the world and making a world that you would like to live in. And I'll start, strategy is the study of the laws of a war situation as a whole. It also talks about the study of war is normal. You study the laws of war, all war, the whole global war, international war. That's why it was so nice this Friday when, what's the brother from Detroit was here?
Shakir.
Shakir, we was talking about Paulus, that was the general that was in charge of the Stalingrad exposition. The whole war, stuff like that. The Wehrmacht, the SS, and all of that I like to talk about that. Actually, I've been doing it since I don't know when. I was just drawn to that stuff. So I've seen every war film, every one of them, on that since, I don't know when. I've seen every Victory at Sea program. I don't know if y'all ever seen Victory at Sea. Mm-hmm. Victory at Sea from 1951, 52 and 53. It was the American battles since 1939 up to 1945, the strategy, So, to be direct, we study the laws of war. But Chairman Mao says something that's very particular and very good. He said, but we also have to study the laws of the Revolutionary War in China in its peculiar and specific aspects. So you study the laws of war in general warfare, but you also have to study the laws of revolutionary war. And then what type of war will you have in China? It will be guerrilla warfare. One thing they said, one of the old books, it said China is a big country that's weak, and Japan is a small country that's strong. So one of the main tactics of China, because they had an idea, because Tanaka was a foreign minister in 1927, 23, something like that. He devised a plan for world conquest. And his idea was Japan will go to world domination on the back of China. Because Japan is too small. I mean, it has too few people. So what it will do first is conquer China. That's why Japan came down and conquered Manchuria. He named it Manchukuo. This is something else. Anyway, but it's mineral rich. One thing about China, until they came across the Yalu River in 1951 to help the North Koreans, China in 4,000 years of history never invaded anyone. And it was the world power for most of that time. It's never invaded anyone. You can't say that about nobody. Everybody had their little feeling that we're going to take us something. So the Swedes at one time invaded the Russians, as big as it is, but they had ate a little garlic or onion, something made them go over there. And it didn't work, but people invade other people. Can you imagine? That Great Wall of China was to keep people out. And now you say, well, you talk about China. What about Islam? Well, I'm following the Hadith who said we go by Quran. Right? We go by Hadith. What does the Hadith say about travel and knowledge? Go as far as where?
China.
China? It says a weak Hadith. So it's a weak Hadith. We can use weak Hadith too. But it's more than one of those Hadith that say that. So one strengthens the other. I'm trying to pick up. The task of the science of strategy is to study those laws for directing a war that govern a war situation as a whole. Because an understanding of the whole facilitates the handling of the part, because the part is subordinate to the whole. I don't want to go, I just read a few little type of things. Laws of war are developmental. Strategy is the study of the laws of war situation as a whole. The important thing, these are titles, is to be good at learning. That's us. We study everything. What are the characteristics of China's Revolutionary War? Our strategy and tactics ensuing from these characteristics. What are the characteristics of the Islamic struggle in North America? We studied that in detail. Our tactics emerge out of our environment and circumstances. We studied the laws of war. We studied China's Revolutionary War. We studied Ikhwan. We studied Jamaat Islamic. We studied Sokoto Khalifa. We studied all of that. But the reason we're accurate is because we look at what we are dealing with. And that's why we don't go wrong in our forecasts too often. Active and passive defense. Preparations for combating encirclement and suppression campaigns. Strategic retreat. Strategic retreat. The reason that the Germans got whooped so bad at Stalingrad is because Hitler didn't allow them to retreat. When they get caught up in the winter, if Hitler would have had any sense, he would have studied Napoleon. Napoleon went into Russia too. What happened to him? The Russian cold run him out. Those that made it out, that didn't freeze to death. It's too big of a country. And you got to have your business taken care of by the winter. They didn't have their business taken care of. Okay. Strategic retreat. We gave a lot of lectures on this subject in 2000. A strategic retreat is drawing the enemy in deep. And we're going to get the Negro Prize for drawing the United States government and everybody in deep. In Oakland, we drew them all in. Look, all of what we've said and done, technically, you go back a few years ago, everybody knew it. But still was nothing happening. Why? Because everybody couldn't see it. We talked about this stuff in detail. So we had to devise a plan to draw the Americans and all the Zionists and everybody. The Zionists first attacked with their newspapers. That's what they were supposed to do at going to New York, Hannity. They was gonna do like Samuel Ariane. And the street prayer and other ones told him, well, he's weak on this and he's weak on that. And then Abdul-Malik told him, okay, you're not going to get him with logic. He whooped everybody on logic. What you got to do is not give him time to talk. You can't let him talk. You got to dominate the field. Okay, so I know when I go to New York that he's been advised by everybody around. So that's why it's so easy to slap him around. Because I already know where he's coming from. Why? Because you can tell the fight. You can look at a guy fighting and you can almost tell if you know all the trainers, you can say so-and-so trained that boy there, right? So we know what Abdul Malik told him. We know what, because we know what we have let not slip, but we know what we fed them. And they take joining in deep means that you feed the people certain things. And if they devour it, then they got hooked, that's all. But we're in a war. We're in the deadliest war of our time. This war, real lives are being lost. I mean, I know we got it pretty good here, psychological warfare. Go to jail every now and then, get hung up, maybe a little rough stuff. That's as sweet as, good God Almighty. People get that just driving down the street. They get shot driving, the tail light is out, bam, bam, right? So the stuff, but we had to feed them the idea that this is the best way to go. And this will work. So, we know what we felt, what we sold, the street prayer and magazine writers, we know what they thought because they don't know, we've been trying to tell them for a decade, hey man, this is what's going on. And they was acting funny and we go overseas and we would let them always handle stuff on purpose, just like we let the Negroes. You know what I mean? Let everybody handle everything, they show where they're coming from. So if we all on the same team, everybody's supposed to be looking out for, but you look up and you see they're not only not looking out for you, they're trying to cut your throat. So we know what to feed them too. Can you imagine in 2014, 15, 16, we might call this year too. Well, at the end of 2013, we drew them in deep, and since their programs didn't work, they got deeper and deeper and deeper. So by 2016, they sunk in it, and they're totally exposed. Now we can teach people what this type of warfare looks like, right? We can teach people, well, not we can, we are already teaching people, and we already have been. And we have been doing it all along, but the stages are different. If we were to go back over our CDs from 10, 20 years ago, they say the same basic thing, but it's on a higher level. So, I'm going to try to pick up a little bit. Encirclement and suppression is what they do to us all the time. Surround you and suppress you. In our case, they surround us and cut off all activity, so everything that you want to do has to go through others, and they can curtail it. So encirclement and suppression is normal in warfare, guerrilla warfare, and we know that that's what's, but one thing it says, moreover, sound revolutionary tactics must be worked out. We will never achieve great things if we keep on milling around within narrow confines. If we keep fighting the war on his terms, he's controlling the terms. Okay, now, we're going to turn this thing, that everything he does, that we're going to use it. It's one of the tactics, they call it thousands of years ago, making something from nothing. I just got a few things that, this is from a writing called 36 Strategies, and then it just has 6 of them right here. Whereas, 36 Strategies are a unique collection of ancient Chinese proverbs that describe some of the most cunning and subtle strategies ever devised by man. Whereas other Chinese military texts, such as Sun Tzu's, or they call it Lao Tzu, something like that, the art of war focus on military organization, leadership, and battlefield tactics. The 36 strategies are more suitably applied in the field of politics, diplomacy, and espionage. These proverbs describe not only battlefield strategies, but tactics used in psychological warfare to undermine both the enemy's will to fight and his sanity. Clausewitz, this is a great white man strategist, and Lao Tzu, all of them say the same thing about unity of forces, unity of command, mobile and quick warfare, war of quick decision, surprise the enemy, and all of that. And one of it has here, says, deceive the sky to cross the ocean, moving about in darkness and shadows, occupying isolated places, or hiding behind screens will only attract suspicion and attention. This means a lot, because if I wanted to know where I'm at, well, don't be too secretive when most of the people is the police. So if I wanted to know where our brothers from Country 2 was, every time I come back from Country 2, I would spread it out and tell the neighbor. The neighbor has been the police from day one, of course you know that. So, if one of the leaders of Country 2 is telling me sometime later, well, don't tell anybody, not even your wife. And he's acting off what they said. It gets so ridiculous that when they realize I'm going to get a divorce, they said, we're going to hook you up a family trip to come and spend the whole time with your family all over Country 2. Okay, so fine. But when they found out that I'm going to get the divorce anyway, that they semi-canceled it and made it impossible for me to get passports for my family. Encirclement and suppression. if you know where you are, you know, it turns simple. Eventually, you feed people what they will feed their boss. And the boss will feed them back information, and sometimes they will have little meetings to see what is the best thing to do. Now you have to know that your boss knows you. Because the mean old boss, I'm an old boss man, you know the little colored cards and stuff they use in psychological tests, docs and all that. You know, the old dirty white man gave me that stuff when I was 8 years old, 8 or 10. Somehow I went to juvenile hall, and I was kind of messed up. So they had me read that stuff. So they get a psychological profile of me when I'm just a little kid. But when I went to the penitentiary, the federal penitentiary, they got a 500-question test that they give you. And people really be filling it out. I mean, what's your favorite sport? Baseball. If you wasn't at a baseball game, where would you be? I'd be at a football game. Dummy run off from the penitentiary and left work. That's not small. He took the doggone test, they go right and pick him up. He buried himself in the shoe boxes. I got a shoe factory, and the train comes in and took him on out of the penitentiary. They had him back in a little of no time. Of course, he told them where he would be. They told me, you're either crazy or something, because we got a thing that say you didn't take this test. So now I'll take that test. Now I'm right from overseas and dope dealing, and I'm right in the middle. I'm juiced up, not juiced up, semi-paranoid. F y'all, I know what y'all do. You know what it means. You can't think I'm gonna take a test and tell you anything. So you improve. So the white man keep notes on you all the time. They call it a chronicle. Keep notes, okay. So, one thing you have to do is keep score and know what the score is. Other things that you have to know what he thinks about you. So for the other people out there, they have to figure out what do the system think about their movement and their organization. What do their files say about it? You see what I mean? Then they'll be able to do the same thing that we do. So, to see the sky, to cross the ocean, in other words, we're not going to hide in shadows or slip around. If they have you on 24/7, I don't have to go try to send no secret messages to nobody. I don't have to do that. If I want to send a message to people, can watch it on here. I don't have to send no secret messages to nobody. Because technically I ain't got no secrets. The other thing is, we don't care what you know about us. Excuse the language, because we're whipping your ass and you know all, you got tons of people. Look at this, how pitiful this is. They got all the Negroes on their team. They got all the Muslims on their team. They got the police department, the FBI, CIA, and they can't do nothing to us. They're making superheroes out of As-Sabiqun. What they're making, they already have. Just to be alive and in the game, right? And remember to confuse them and to confuse their sanity. Who's crazy, us or them? Okay, who's their leader? If we bring it on personal level, if I was saying me, okay, if I'm leaderless resistance, do I have more sense Am I a bigger fool than Donald Trump? I don't think so. I think he's a way bigger fool. Way bigger fool. And when you can use foolishness, there's a thing here they call making something out of nothing. We do that all the time. Making something out of nothing means have very little. I'm going to be skipping. China had to fight Japan in World War II. So China's strategy was, we're a big country that's small. That's weak. Japan is a small country that's strong. So what we're going to do is give up space for time. So they're going to retreat. You know what China did? They did like the Russians did, scorched earth policy. They folded up all of their machinery and everything to make weapons and took it to Chongqing. Chongqing, way in the mountains. They couldn't get nothing. You ever heard of Burma Road? So they have to open up the Burma Road. I didn't know how important it was sort of. So the Japanese, and they built their factories and caves and everything. So they would let the Chinese come in right here. The Japanese come in right here. And they'd have the whole area. And then the Chinese will say, well, you know, that river used to run right down where the Japs are, and we reorganized that river. So now we're going to cut the dam or the levee. And all the trucks and all the Japanese and all of them are trying to slosh through the muds. The big heavy guns and everything, right? And then when they take over, they give them an area, now they can guerrilla warfare to death. And that's what they did. They used what they had. They had space and they had time. They wore them down so bad, Japan got nervous and attacked the U.S. because it said, we got to stick to our timetable before it even conquered China. So it conquered part of it. They gave us this book, I've just said it many times, War in the Shadows. This is a guerrilla war history. This is a wonderful book. But they gave us this. They put it right down there. Thinking that I would read it. They were 100% right. I read it, I loved it. And I love the history. I had never had all Greek Peloponnesian War. Who knew about all that stuff? But what we got was, we have the strategy for guerrilla warfare, but it's psychological guerrilla warfare. You see what I mean? In other words, we changed the whole process. They want us to fight a physical resistance in America, the Islamic movement, so they can tear us to shreds. And all the dummies are encouraging us to do that. We're not going to do that. We just took all the principles, all the history, and changed it to psychological guerrilla warfare. See what I mean? That's why we can't lose. Why? Just a few little colored things every now and then. See, God gives every people their special gifts, and they have to use those against a strong enemy. I ain't gonna mention the honey trap. But there's one, the strategy, besiege way to rescue Zhao. This is 352 BC. This is to attack one place to really gain another. another place. Right here I have attack D.C. to capture Kansas City. So years ago, we really wanted to move to Kansas City. And we had up and down the West Coast, right? Seattle, Portland, Oakland, LA, even San Diego. So we got the West Coast. So if you're military move, your next thing would be to head east, right? So we want East Coast, we want West Coast, then we want center. The center is Kansas. They say Kansas City. It's kind of, it's not really the center. It's kind of, but. So, it's like if you want to capture Philadelphia, capture New York, right? And you automatically get Philadelphia because it's right along the way. So if we come all the way to D.C., Kansas City is no problem. You see what I mean? When we start studying these things, the only thing we found out was the name of the tactics that we've been deploying all the time. That's why Allah gives each people their special characteristics. And if they use what Allah gives them correctly, they will be able to deal with the enemy properly. Thing of loss. So they're talking about pursuit of, during their civil war, they're talking about the pursuit of their military. And they say that in the rules and laws of encirclement and suppression, if you lose 90% of your area and your population, you haven't lost. You just, the only way you lose is when everybody is dead. Everything is finished. So, each encirclement and suppression campaign, the one of '86, we still had the Masjid in Oakland. We had friends all over the country, right? In the war that combines California 2007 and everything, well, we do use the same principle that the Tafsir Quran was talking about. Those people will follow their leader until their leader rescinds their authority. Then they're going to turn against you, right? So in the meantime, we done acquired a school, we done acquired property,